What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's day is good. I hope everything is well. And today we are going to have a story time of the time I got fired at my current job and the fact that I got hired back. And also kind of why I'm looking for another job. And man, it's a lot. It's a lot. So basically, the only reason I got fired was because of negligence on my part. Now, and I do mean negligence, not something that I did on purpose. At the end of the day, people can make their own decision on whether I did this on purpose or not, and it was not on purpose. But I'll go ahead and tell the story and let you guys decide for yourself. So I'll start from the beginning that pretty much matters. So in February, we voted. We have a union at my job, and in February, we had a vote to get like a $2 raise, and our job couldn't force us to work over 60 hours because we were literally working like 72 hours plus because that's just what the job had us do. But regardless of all that, we voted on that, and then literally like 3 weeks after that, I got fired, if even. So what happened is, now this is the uncharacteristic part, or this is my characteristics at work. I don't take days off. I work a lot of overtime, and I just do that pretty much every single day I can. Even days where everyone else is like gone, usually, which is a Sunday, but things have switched up. Anyways, one of my friends got fired. Like my really, really close friend got fired from the job because someone had started some beef with him and literally lied and said that he said a word that you are not allowed to say, which is the N word. So this other guy literally, I guess if I'm going to start it, I might as well start it from a little bit before that as to why I think this even happened. So, like I said, we voted on getting a $2 raise, which is great. And then right after that, my friend had gotten suspended. And there's a lot of corruption going on at my job. So I guess I should really preface by saying that as well. A lot of corruption. People getting jobs that don't deserve it. People having sex with HR, and when you're a supervisor, but not just a supervisor, but like the supervisor right under the owner of this building, all that kind of stuff. Um, and there's a problem between my friend because he worked a lot of hours and his job wasn't hard. He was basically the maintenance man, but getting paid higher than a regular person at our job. So the rumors were like, oh yeah, he doesn't even do a lot. He just walks around all day, gets paid, working 14 hours a day. And the reason why this matters is because that was my close friend, and those are the rumors. And because of that, and he just kind of had a mouth on him, like he would just always get offended by the smallest thing, which was so silly. And I try to tell him like, hey man, you need to really like watch your anger. And he acknowledged that he had anger issues and stuff, but he just would never check himself. He would be like, yeah, I really gotta watch my anger, but in the heat of the moment, nothing matters. It does not matter. But anyways, so he had issues with the supervisor. He had issues with a lot of people, and I do believe that he was entrapped in a situation that other people knew that he wouldn't back away from. So at my job, there's a policy to where if there's a confrontation to where even if it's like an argument and people are yelling, that's already a group three. A group three means an instant suspension. So this guy started a issue with my friend and basically was like, oh yeah, we can handle this outside because I'm not the N word to play with. And I'm like, what? You know, and the funny thing is, this all started because I had just asked the question, like, when is the start time for this overtime day that we're all talking about? I'm asking my friend that. And then he says, oh, I don't know. But they need to, let us know because it literally said to be added. It's like mandatory overtime, but to be added. And that's just weird. So I asked him that question. The other guy who started the beef just so happened to be in the area that me and my friend were talking at. And then so I'm over here like, yeah, this is weird, and he's saying, yeah, this doesn't make sense. My friend's over here getting a little angry because he really, really, really values that overtime. So he's getting passionate already. But it doesn't matter. He's not the issue. But anyways, what I say is like, yeah, they need to tell us. So I'm about to go find the supervisor right quick just so I can find out about this. And then he's like, yeah, because they got us messed up. And then, I'm not trying to like make him angrier than he already is because I'm like, this anger doesn't even need to be here. But regardless, this other guy includes himself and literally says, well, here's the paper, it's right here. He literally grabs the paper and throws it at my friend. And then I'm like, what is happening? Literally, like, what's happening? And then my friend's like, well, you didn't even have to yell at me, dude. I wasn't even talking to you. You don't even need to talk to me. And he walked off, put the paper back on the desk where it was at first. And then that was it until the other guy said, "Oh, well, we can go outside because I'm not the N word to f around with." And then I'm like, "Whoa, what?" And my friend was like, "Oh, you can take my number. We can handle this outside of work. We can talk about this." I don't know if he said talk about it or not, but I really do know that he said you can have my number. We can handle this outside of work. And I'm just like, dude. And that's when I stepped up and get in between both of them because I'm like, what is happening here? I'm like, bro, do not give him your number. This isn't even a situation. We just need to get back to work. Because at this point, I don't even know what's happening. And then there's this random girl on the side who literally got pissed off at me because I'm the first one who asked the question. But in no world would I have ever been like, yeah, this is going to start an argument with the person that I'm not even talking to, with a person that he's not even talking to. But I just mentioned that because she really tried to get like lay it on me thick talking about why'd you even start anything? I'm like, I didn't start anything. And she's like, you over here arguing with people? I'm like, I'm not arguing with nobody. I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm not arguing. And then she decided, okay, I don't have anything else to say to you. And I'm like, okay, me too. And I just ended that immediately because I'm like, dude, who are you? Like at this point, who are you? We shouldn't even be talking right now. But regardless, so yeah, that whole situation happened, and then the supervisor comes down, and then he basically says, "Hey, you gotta go." You know, nothing happens for like 2 days. I didn't. The whole "you gotta go" part is just basically like me saying filler stuff that doesn't even matter. Basically, like trying to figure out what happened in the situation, separating two people, and I leave as well because I'm like I'm not really a part of this, I guess. And then somewhere along the line, I don't even know if this guy did it or not, but it's very, very heavily implied that he did report my friend. And then somehow the word got to the supervisors or HR as well that my friend had said the N word when it was very clearly the other guy. And I don't know who said what, but I do know that I wrote down a statement and I gave my statement to the HR office, and then I had that done. But I just didn't feel comfortable with that being all I did, so I even basically took a picture of my statement and sent it to the building owner, like the guy who's in charge of running the actual building. And this is a new guy. There was a guy who was before him, and he was a very understanding person, and he was like, actually for the workers because he didn't want anybody to quit because that's how we get our work done. So if things could be settled without having BS, then he's that guy. But this new guy just came in like a month ago, if even, and I told this guy to his face, I said, hey man, I really need you to read this statement because with this situation, my friend did not say the N word, and I'm hearing people say that he said it and I was there and he did not say it. And I don't want him to get in trouble for this because that's a lie. I literally told him like there's some corruption going on around here. And I feel like those key words is what got me with a target on my back. And then ultimately, when I did actually slip up and mess up, I got fired with no remorse because I said that to a guy who was potentially involved in the corruption that there was corruption. So that's kind of the backstory for at least a part that I feel like that part matters a very, very great deal when it comes to me getting fired. But when I tell you what actually happened, it's going to be like, of course you could have got fired for this. So that's going to be like any regular person's like understanding and belief. And I agree. They caught me slipping like 100%. And when I say slipping, I mean I tripped. But I'm just going to go ahead and get to the other part. So my friend ended up getting suspended pending termination. And eventually he did get terminated. And before that, I would work overtime. I would work a lot of hours, 12 hours, even if they didn't ask or tell us that we had to. I was just a guy who would work a lot. And then, as soon as my friend got fired, I just said, man, I'm just going to do my 40 a week, my 40 hours a week. And I was in a position, because I'm a forklift, and they don't need us after 8 hours for, like, technically. If they want us to build pallets, then they'll ask us. But they can't actually force us because that's not our job. They can force us during our 8 hours if you're low on the union seniority list and all that, which is literally me. I'm the lowest in seniority, so I'm always the guy. But regardless of all that, they can't. So I would just do my 8 hours and leave, and I can't get in trouble for that. And if that's what happened for that week, and then the next week after, like basically 2 weeks after my friend got fired and stuff, I just started taking like days off. So I would use my PTO and stuff, and I ended up using one day on. Well, actually, I tried to use vacation day, and before when I used my vacation day, I didn't know that you needed 5 days in advance. I thought it was just 2 days in advance because literally one of my old managers told me that if I just put my vacation in 2 days in advance, then we're good. So I did that. I told him, I texted him everything. I said, yeah, I won't be here Monday. So that's what happens. I'm not there Monday because I actually did have a plan to hang out with one of my friends. We wanted to see a movie. I forget what it was, but we went to see a movie. And I was like, yeah, it's just a good excuse to get out of work because I don't even want to be at work anyway after what happened. But then, so that was the one day I took off. And that's already unusual because, dude, you only get so much vacation in 1 year. And last time I used my vacation pretty much right before Christmas because that's the only time that, I could. Or I think it was right after because I didn't use it for the whole year. So basically, in the 2 years I've been with this company, I usually take it at the end of the year, but that's honestly nothing. So I take one vacation day that day, and later on in the week, I just work my regular 8 hour shifts and I go home. And then on Thursday, something just came over me, and I just didn't want to show up, but I also didn't want to use my PTO because I'm like, this is really just me being lazy. So I'll just take a point and just because I have less than 3 points, and you need 10 points to get fired. So I'm like, okay, I might be getting 3 points, and at every 3 points you get a write up. 3, 6, 9, you get write ups, and then at 10th point you're out of there. So I'm like, I don't even have 3 points. I'll just take the day off, which is Thursday, and I stay home, play video games, do normal stuff. And then what happened? So that Friday, I mean, actually, that's regular. So for the next 2 weeks, oh my bad, excuse me. So we work Friday and Saturday. Saturday, I find out that my old manager is about to go on a vacation for 2 weeks, and lo and behold, there are days where I didn't clock in because the clock in punch machine, whatever thing, just sucks. It just sucks. Like it'll literally reject your punch at times, and it just sucks. So there's times where that doesn't work, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not clocking in, whatever, because that's just how it is today. So I'll just fill out a paper, and then at the end of the week, I'll just fill out a paper and get that going with my manager. I'll get paid as usual, and then boom. But where I messed up is that I waited to the very last second of the very last day, right before my supervisor was about to go on vacation. And because I knew he was going to be on vacation and it was literally time to go, like all the work was done, everything was done. At that point, my supervisor was literally waiting on me to fill out the paper so he could go home. So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and rush and get this done because I really shouldn't have waited to the end of the day. That was just me being procrastinating and stuff. That's just like silly and dumb. I felt bad, but that doesn't matter so much, but it kind of does. So I do that, go fill it out, and I don't double check. And this is where I made my literal fatal mistake that got me fired. I did not double check. So I wrote every day down. I was like, okay, so Monday. And then this is the dumber part. So I got mixed up, right? I said I took the Monday off, right? For vacation. Okay. So on the paper, I said Monday I was here, regular. And then Tuesday I wasn't here for vacation. So I put that Tuesday was my vacation day, which is already my first screw up. But that doesn't matter. I still put my vacation time in, 8 hours, whatever. Where I made my fatal mistake is that I put Thursday as a regular day. The day I just said I'll just take a point and just whatever, not get paid. I'll just accept that as a whatever. And I'll just use that as a regular day. That means that I said I was there working when I wasn't working. That is stealing time. And then since it was on a paper, that's falsifying documents. I falsified a document. And since I falsified a document, 2 weeks later, it came back to bite me. So at the beginning of a day on, I don't know, maybe a Friday, I think. On the beginning of the day on that Friday, I ended up, what's it called? getting called into the office at the very beginning of the shift. And my supervisor was like, yeah, I need to have a conversation with you. And I was like, okay. I'm thinking I probably am finally getting my 3 point write up because, sometimes supervisors just don't give you that write up right away. And then you'll just be waiting on the write up and then it'll just show up. Because my other old supervisor actually had that happen because it was like, dude, I had taken off, like, what's it called? So it was different phases of me at work at this company. There was a phase to where I wouldn't work at anything over 10 hours a day because I just wasn't that kind of guy. And then when I met my friend who got fired, he's the one that would be like working 12 and 14-hour days willingly. And then we had like a challenge to who could work more. And then, so that was our thing. And then I was known as the guy who does a lot of overtime. But at this point, like I said, not just messed up. My friend got fired, and I just stopped working overtime. So I went back to even worse than my old self, because my old self would just only do the required amount, which was usually 10 hours. And I wasn't a forklift driver at that time. I was just a regular builder. I didn't have the extra position. And builders can get, they can tell you to work 12 hours, and that's just it. Forklifts, not really. But what I'm trying to say here is that, so, back then I was that guy who wouldn't do it. And then when I met my friend, I was the guy who would do it. And then after he got fired, I just wouldn't work those hours. But basically, literally falsified a document saying that I was here for a day I wasn't. And when my supervisor came in saying, yeah, we need to have a conversation. And at that point, he brought me to the office. I'm thinking I'm getting my 3 point write up because it's whatever, big whoop, you know? So he comes in after calling me to the office. And then he's like, so, do you recognize this? And I'm like, what is this? He hands me a piece of paper and it shows the timesheet. That's literally what it is, the thing that I signed. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just a timesheet. But right then and right there, I kind of get a little spooked because I'm like, why is he handing me my timesheet? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I signed it. It's mine. But why am I in a meeting and he's showing me my timesheet? And I'm already confused and a little scared. So my union rep is sitting with us as well, just as like a second person, this third party to hear. Anyways, he's like, yeah. So it shows that you were here for a day that you weren't. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So he's like, yeah. So Thursday, you weren't here, and we also check for your badges, because when the door's locked and you have a badge to scan to get in the door. And he says, yeah. So we checked for that, and you don't have a scan for that day. And at that point, my heart drops. I'm like, oh shit. I'm literally like, oh shit, this is not happening. I need to understand this. And then my union rep, he's a really talkative person. So he starts yapping like I am right now, but like he's like, yeah, so it says right here. I'm like, yeah, I see what it says. I just need some time to actually process this. Like, hold up, let me actually think. And the reason I'm even mentioning that is because he literally wouldn't be quiet, and he was just like, oh yeah, it says right here that you were here and you weren't, boss. And I'm like, yeah, I see that. I literally see that. I'm like, and I guess I have a good poker face because, yeah, in the years, I kind of my face kind of stays the same a lot of the time when I just talk in general. Even when I'm excited, I kind of like, my face doesn't always show it. But I'm like, just give me a second, bro. I might not look like you, but I'm actually tripping right now. Because now this is obviously something way more serious. I thought I was going to get my 3 point write up, and that's not what I'm here for. So just give me some time. I need to collect myself right now. And he's like, so what happened? Like my supervisor, after I collect myself a little bit, he's like, so what happened? And I'm like, I don't know. I was literally off Thursday, and I remember that I was at home playing video games. So I'm like, I don't know why I would put this on here that I said that I was here and I wasn't. I literally remember playing video games at home, and I'm just like, dude, I filled this out. And after like maybe just a minute of silence, I was like, dude, I fucked up. And I'm just literally just like, I fucked up, dude. This was not on purpose though. Like this was not on purpose. And I'm literally hearing myself say that, and I'm like, no one gives a fuck though. No one cares if this was on purpose or if it wasn't. They just see that I got over on the company, and I'm so fucked. I'm like, dude, this is America. People do not give a fuck about accidents. No one cares. So at that point, I'm already like, dude, no. And this is a thing that I didn't say yet in this video. I literally watched a person get walked out for stealing time. This guy clocked in at home because back then, I guess we had this app to where you could clock in away from work, and I wasn't feeling that stuff because when they told us about that, I was like, yeah, screw that. That just sounds like a setup, or it's not really a setup, but it just sounds like something to where you can just easily screw yourself over. You know, it just sounds like a setup, honestly. So I'm just like, yeah, nah, I never did that. But the guy who I'm speaking about, who I saw get walked out, did that. But the thing is, he clocked in at home and stayed home on purpose. He stole time on purpose, did that 100%, didn't come in at all. And then the funny thing is, I was supposed to get it's actually a meme with me and my friend, one of my friends, because honestly, it really was funny. I'm sorry. And it's probably why I even got fired. Not really. I got fired because I messed up. But I'm just going to say it. The meme is literally because I got a job at that, same place, just in a different department. And it was in his department. And I was going to be with him, working with him. But I said, he was already there. And I just got the job. And I did a rebid. I got the job. And I said, oh, I guess you're here with me. He's like, oh no, you're here with me. You're here with me. Like putting it out there, just making it extra. I don't know, like I'm the boss. You're here with me. I was here first. You're here with me. And then out of nowhere, I just see the supervisor walk over. He's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And he's talking to the guy who said, you're here with me. And then that was the last time I ever seen him, bro. My supervisor came back, and I know he wasn't supposed to do this, but he did. And he was like, dude, this guy literally just got fired for stealing time. I was like, what? Yeah, and he was like, yeah, he clocked in at home on the app and then just didn't show up. And he thought that he was just going to get away with it. He was like, dude was being just stupid. And I'm like, yeah, that is like the dumbest thing I've heard today. Who does that? Like that's just so unnecessary. You just lost your job over stealing time. That's so dumb. And the thing is, that happened like almost a year and a half ago. So pretty early in on my time with the company, because I've been here for like 2 years, over 2 years now. But regardless, at least a year ago, but it doesn't matter. I will never forget that moment because it was a meme. It was like, I'm sorry, but dude, it was funny because when I told the story to my friends, okay, so there's two reasons why it was funny. One, it was funny because it was actually like funny because like he's like, you're here with me, and then he gets walked out. So like when I told the story to my friends or my friend, whatever, I literally told him, I was like, yeah, dude, so I just got the job, and then he says all this, you're here with me stuff, and then bro comes over here, the supervisor he says, I need to talk to you, and I never see him again. Because it's like, I don't know, I guess maybe how I told the story was funny. But it was funny. I'm sorry to say. I laughed, dude. I laughed. Because it was the meme potential. I love memes. But regardless, that's how that went. And then after that, it's basically me saying, I literally saw someone get fired for stealing time. What do I look like doing the same thing? That's what I'm saying. What do I look like stealing time after seeing someone get fired for stealing time? There's no reason I would do it. You know what I mean? And then another reason is because I had 2 weeks of vacation and 4 PTO days left. I had 4 PTO days and 2 weeks of vacation. And if I really, basically, yeah, that's the whole paid aspect. I was going to say, if I really didn't care, then I would have took the day off and just took the point, like exactly what I meant to do. But basically, what I'm trying to say and convey is that I did not double check my times. I did not pay attention, and I allowed my former pattern of thought of, yeah, I'm here all the time to just take over. Even though I got because I got the, what's it called thing right? The vacation. Even though I didn't get the actual day right, I still got the day incorrect, like an idiot. Messed that up. But then at the end of the day, I messed that up, got the day wrong, but I still put it in. So it's like, okay, I still put it in. No issue, right? So that's done. But even though I messed up on the Thursday, bro, I literally said I was here and I wasn't here. Like that's it. You're done. You're cooked. There's no coming back from that. Even if it was an accident, it's a corporation. These places don't care. So I'm gonna just. That's exactly what I told to my supervisor, who, called me in the office in the first place. He's the one that started the meeting, and I just said that. And then he just said, yeah, just be honest and like write on some paper, everything that you just told me, just write it down. And, at this point, it's out of my hands. I just had to get the information, and it's up to the people like HR to do what they're going to do. And I just said, yeah, I'm fired. I literally told him that. I was like, yeah, I'm fired, bro. Like, there's no way. Because I don't even know these people. Everybody, all the supervisors are new. Even the HR's new. Like pretty much all the people that I actually had a reputation with, all the people that knew me for who I was when it comes down to in my work ethic, when it comes down to the supervisor roles and being on my shift, and then on top of that, like I said, the HR lady who used to be here, and then even the boss of the not the business, but the boss of the building, all those guys are gone. All the people who would actually have the power to fire or not fire me, the people who knew me from the year ago, they're all gone, bro. It's just this new guy who doesn't even introduce himself, because I'm telling you, the other bosses that I had, because there was two. There was like one who was like basically the boss of the building, and then there was like an assistant boss of the building technically. That's just my words for it. And then there was the HR lady who actually cared a whole lot more than people thought. Like people thought that she was just trying to fire people all the time by telling people what they can and can't do. But in actually telling people what they can and can't do, she was actually saving them, because she would only tell people what they can and can't do whenever they were doing the wrong thing. But she basically saved their jobs because she told them not to do it instead of just firing them for doing it. So basically all the people that I had a reputation with that actually knew me from my work ethic, all this, that, and the other, they were gone. I didn't have any actual protection. It was just, well, I fucked up. And then on top of it, I told that guy and the HR lady who was getting fucked by the new assistant big boss who's getting fucked by that guy. I told them both that there's corruption. Well, who's the people who allow corruption? Well, the people who make the rules, or at least not make the rules, but the people who are supposed to enforce the rules. And who are the people who are actually doing corrupt actions? The people who I'm talking to, who have control over my job. And I just made a big fucking oopsie. I'm so fired. So that's what I said when I was in the room with my supervisor. I was like, yeah, dude, don't be surprised if I don't come back. It's over for me, bro. And I was just laughing the whole time, because I was like, yeah, dude, it's over for me, bro. Like, good game. Good game. So that happens. And then he's like, yeah, oh man, I got some good laughs out of them and everything. Because at that point, what can you do other than laugh, Because I actually messed up. Regardless of if it's an accident or not, I messed up so bad that my job is at stake. And the thing is, though, like, I just had to make sure to put it out there that shit wasn't on purpose, dude. I don't steal time. And I'll tell you a little story about me stealing that basically made me say I would never steal again. As I'm just gonna say, when I was 15 years old, bro, and I'm not gonna sit here and blame it on him, but I was introduced to stealing through a friend. And he's still a good friend to this day. It's just that he had, sticky hands at that point in time. It's whatever. He stole from businesses, not from me. But stealing is bad, no matter what, bro. So what I'm trying to say is, back then, my friend and I didn't have any money. We went to the gas station. And he asked if I wanted anything. I was like, yeah, sure. And then I saw him grab some like Skittles and put it down his pants, and I was like, oh, you can do that? You know what I mean? Like, you can do that shit? Like, my dad always said, don't steal, though, And so I knew not to steal, but I also knew he wasn't there. So, my friend did that, and I wasn't going to tell on him. Like, why would I do that? I know that there are consequences. I know he would get in trouble, and I doubt I'd get in trouble because I didn't steal anything. But regardless, so what I'm trying to say is, he did that, and I got some free stuff out of it. Well, guess what? The next day, I wanted some free stuff, but he wasn't there. So I went to the gas station, and I stole. And I got away with it. And then I was like, well, that was easy. did the same method, and then I did the same thing again, and the day later. But there was this lady in the store who just looked at me, just gave me that look, like I know what you're doing. I'm not gonna say anything, but she gave me that stank face, and I was like, my whole heart dropped, bro. And I was 15, my heart dropped, bro. And when she gave me that face, the only thing I could think of is like, what if she actually stopped me, told my parents, what would happen? Not even what would happen, but how would they think about me? Like I'm a thief now, you know? And like it just it made me feel so ashamed that I just literally promised to God. I was like, I'm not gonna put this up because it's already in my pants. But God, I will never steal again, bro. Like I promise, I just promised to God I will never steal again. Like if my parents don't find out about this, I will never steal again, bro. Because this amount of shame that I felt when I even thought about my parents finding out that I stole. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh man, I don't know. I was gonna say like I'm not gonna be like, oh man, after the life I try to provide for you, like I wasn't thinking about that kind of stuff. I was really just thinking about the fact that what if I was caught and like how much shame would I feel? It was honestly very selfish. It was a selfish desire to not feel shameful for being a thief. Honestly, I don't want to be known as a thief, dude. I don't want to be that guy you got to be careful around because, like, I ended up stealing from a business and now I'm known for that nasty stuff, dude. I mean, I will be honest. Like, if you're the kind of person like stealing's bad, no matter what, and there's no excuse. But stealing from a business and stealing from your actual people that you know, or just people like hardworking people, in my opinion, they are two different things, but stealing is still stealing. And you just shouldn't do it. It's so I heard of this thing called like a gateway habit where you could do good or bad. Like if you read a book or if you exercise, then you'll be more likely to like sit down and learn and stuff like that. And then the same thing for stealing. That's like a gateway thing. You steal, and most people with like good conscious decision making skills don't do that. So the only people you're going to end up meeting if you steal and be in that area, in the atmosphere of thieves, is going to be people who would end up doing you wrong as well. And you don't want to be in that field. That's just not what you want for your life. So it's like a gateway, kind of like a gateway drug, honestly. You end up thinking you do something that isn't so bad, and then you start doing stuff that's really bad. And even if you just stick with stealing, like you're going to end up stealing from people that you love. And there's people that I actually know like that. Like, I mean, shit. I don't even want to say who I know because like it's a really close person to me, unfortunately. I hope he stopped. I really do hope he stopped. But yeah, end up stealing from family and just being a bad influence and a bad person. That's not good for you, bro. So yeah, that's kind of like the whole section of stealing and stuff. And the reason I said that is because like it just reminded me like I'm stealing time from a business, and it just reminded me of like back in the day. I'm like, dude, I do not do this shit on purpose, bro. Like I am not a thief. But I guess my past came to haunt me in a way, even if it was mentally. Because I still got away with it at that time, and I probably didn't deserve to get away with it because I was stealing. But regardless, what I'm trying to say about all this stuff is that I was laughing about the whole, yeah, I'm done for, it's over with, so I'll see y'all guys. And then, after the whole situation, my supervisor said, yeah, well, I do have to suspend you because this is a serious offense. We can't just let it slide and stuff. So I need your badge and I'm going to have to walk you out. And I was like, damn, this is just embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't on break, so a lot of people didn't see me, but it was still embarrassing. I'm like, dude, I literally fucking did this on accident and I am so done for. And I was like, I had no expectation of losing my job, no expectation of any of that. I thought it was just going to be another 8-hour day, me being sad that my friend got fired over some BS, and I didn't, and even though I put my 2 cents out there and as an actual eyewitness, it still didn't matter. I was thinking like I was feeling sorry for him. Well, now look at me. I got to feel sorry for myself now. But yeah, bro. So that's how I lost my job. That's for sure. And then I did end up getting it back though. and it took a month and a half. I ended up talking to my union rep, the actual head union rep of the building. You know, he knows me. That's like the one guy who actually knows me, who actually has some power. It was two people. One of the truck drivers who's like very high up in the seniority list in the union, so he does talk for other union people, and then the actual union boss of the building. So they both know me to be a hard worker. They both know me to always get stuff done, and they enjoy my company and stuff. And honestly, dude, if someone doesn't enjoy your company, kiss your ass goodbye if you ever fuck up. Because I will say, I don't even know if I want to say, but so my friend who did get fired, he hit them up, the union people, at like 5 a.m. when he should have waited till like 8, and he asked them for help because he lost his job, and they said it's 5 a.m. Because I'm like, dude, it is 5 a.m. No one's open. But my friend was in his feelings about the whole situation, and he didn't even try after that. He just thought no one cared about him. Once again, he's emotional and a very, very emotional person. So I can't sit here and act like he did anything. Like he was wrong in a way because he didn't ask them again to help after 8 a.m. He just asked that one time at 5 a.m. and never asked for help again because of his emotions, because he was angry about the situation that no one was willing to help him out at a random point in 5 a.m. But they still could have followed up with them. If I'm being 100% honest, they could have followed up with them and been like, okay, well, so what's this about? But no one did. And that's because he did kind of like, he always had some beef with someone, even though, like I said, this latest beef was literally not his fault. Literally not his fault. But it was just the one time he wasn't at fault. And the one time that he wasn't at fault, nobody cared about him, bro. It was just me. I was the only person who cared. And I even talked to people after I got my job back, and they were like, you know what? He put this on himself. He brought this on himself. Because he just had so much beef with so many people. And even if it was just this one time he was right, people were just fed up with him. And I'm like, you know what? I can't even argue that, dude. I hate, but I can't. I'm not going to sit here and just make no sense because that was my friend. I'm not going to just be that guy. It's like, well, that's my friend. He gets a special pass. With all due respect, nobody gets a special pass in life, bro. And where you're at in life will let you know. So, with that being said, bro, like I said, I talked to my union rep. They really helped me out. They got me a meeting with the HR person, lady, and the building boss. That motherfucker was on the phone, bro. He couldn't even be bothered to show up, and I would not let that shit go. And as soon as I seen that he was on the phone, I was like, this guy doesn't give a fuck, dude. This guy doesn't give a fuck about anything that's happening right now. I can tell you that immediately. And I noticed that, and I knew it, and I just understood that this meeting was pretty much useless. But I guess it's better to try than to just give up, you know? So at that meeting, I just told the same exact story, but I said it to the woman and the guy on the phone. So the first thing that was said was the union rep said, hey, so everybody's here, right? Okay, everybody hears everybody? Okay, so Terrence, do you mind, going and talking about exactly what happened and stuff? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So I talked about it, said the same exact story I just told you guys, except for, actually, yeah, everything, literally everything. So I said that stuff, and then what happened after that was the lady, HR lady, was like, yeah, we were thinking about giving Terrence another chance, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like great, I'd appreciate it. But in my head, I'm like, you guys fired me, you pig motherfucker. I'm over here thinking like, you guys really did me dirty like that. Like, for real though. For real. That's really what I was thinking. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it, bro. I was so upset about the whole situation. I just felt so wronged, man. Because, like I said, it was an accident. And in my personal opinion, if okay, so I did say this at I didn't tell you guys, I said this part. I said, you guys can literally ask anybody on the floor, like anybody in the building, anyone who isn't a big supervisor, basically. My work ethic speaks for itself. I definitely didn't expect you guys to fire me and stuff over this, because I would expect that that my work ethic speaks for itself, that I always get my work done. There's other people, and I didn't say this part, but there's other people who don't do their work. There's other people who just sit around talking all day and literally do not shit. And they get a pass only because they didn't write it down on paper, but they're literally stealing 2 to 3 hours a day every single day. And that's literally what happens too. It's not a joke. Like, people, there are people who will literally just sit around talking for 2 hours, 3 hours. And when another person, a builder, needs help with the forklift, like me bringing something down, they always look at me because they always need me to help them because I'm the only one who cares enough to actually look at them and help them. The other people whose job it is to help, they don't do anything. They don't do their actual job. And I don't understand how they still have their job when they don't even do that shit. But then the one person like me who does their job and then more every single time, every single day, doesn't get the time of day when they fuck up and, do something on accident. But it's really stems from, in my opinion, is that, like I said, they don't know me. And who's to say that it was an accident? Maybe I'm just saying it was an accident. And man, I'm just saying it was an accident because, I got caught. You know what I mean? And that's one thing. But the other thing is they fired so many people in so little time, bro. Like, when I say they were on a fire sale, bro, like this right here, they were on a fire sale. I mean that, bro. I'm saying they were just, bodies were dropping. Bodies were dropping. Like, people were getting fired left and right, back and forth. There was no doubt about that. And I was just another number in that system at that point in time. I was just the fifth person fired in this week. And actually, for real, like, there was like 5 people getting suspended, 5 people getting fired in a week, all kinds of people getting fired at all kinds of times. And I was just the next in line. And for that reason, I feel like that's why the guy, that's why the guy couldn't be bothered to even look at my case to, even ask if I should get fired or rehired. I mean, the building boss, because the HR woman was there. She was like, at the end of that, she was like, yeah, we'll talk about it. I think Terrence will be eligible for rehire. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. She said she'll let me know on Monday, and then Monday comes, nothing. But then Tuesday comes and my union rep says, yeah, it's been rejected. And I'm like, fuck, bro. Because at the end of the day, I still don't have a job. And I got rent. And like I said, I was saving up, dude. I was actually saving up. But guess what? Now I don't have a job. So good luck with saving anything. You have nothing. And then I started doing jobs on InstaWork, the app. And shout out to Emmerich, because, me and him, that's where we met. It was on InstaWork, just hanging out and working. But yeah, dude. I was working on the app, but the jobs just weren't coming in like they needed to. And I didn't have a car, so I was paying for Uber to get there and back. And for that reason as well, it just wasn't lucrative enough. Like, my job is down the street, basically. And I ride my bike to work. I don't need a car. But now I need a car, and I need transportation to get to and from. And for that reason, now I'm really screwed. So, yeah, I do that stuff, get that going. And eventually, I end up, oh yeah, man. So during that time, that's when I ended up losing my dad, and my sister called me, told me the situation, that my father's gone, our father's gone. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm showing up. If there's one good thing about me being fired is that I don't have to be anywhere right now. So I'm gonna go show up to my family and have that whole situation play out. And it did play out. But the good thing is that it brought us all together. I haven't seen my siblings for like 2 years and stuff, like 2 July 4ths ago. So it has been a good minute. But honestly, it was pretty rough. Lost my job and my dad. And I'm like, shit. And life wasn't good. But, we made it through. And then sometime during like the last 2-3 days of me being with my family out of town, I ended up, I called my union rep one more time and asked him, is there another way that I can get another schedule and file another grievance or anything? He was like, honestly, he's like, no, it's just the one time and that's it. And I'm like, damn, dude, for real? He's like, yeah, sorry, man. But the HR lady did say that she was thinking about you might be eligible for rehire. So she told me to hit her up later today, and I'll do that, and I'll let you know what goes on. And I'm like, okay, well, that's decent news, but last time it was rejected, so I'm not expecting anything, but like I said, I'm not going to just give up either. And then a couple hours later, out of nowhere, the dude was like, okay, you're hired. You're rehired. You're good. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you're good. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? And then he said, yeah, so, you can come back, you can come back tomorrow. And I was like, oh, whoa, there's one thing I just need to show. I need to show up on Monday because I'm actually with my family right now. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll let her know. But you are in the clear. You are good to come back on Monday. And I'm glad that, everything worked out. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. At least I got my job back, and at least I got to see my family for the time I needed to see them and stuff and get everything situated. And then I guess I'll be able to come back to work. But I got back to work recently, like 2 weeks ago, and I will be honest, bro, it's not the same. It's not the same. Like, it was already a toxic place, but the thing is, there's this thing called a last chance at my job. If you get fired and you get rehired, you keep your seniority and stuff, but you are basically a second class citizen, bro. And what I mean by that is, like, if you break even one rule, you are fired, terminated, no questions asked. You are not able to file a grievance. You are not able to rebuttal. You are not able to speak back against it. If you even do one thing that violates the policy of the job, you are done. And the reason I'm not speaking about, like, what job I'm at and all that stuff is literally because I'm not supposed to talk about this at all. Like, I'm literally told in the thing that I signed that if I am talking about it, then I can get fired as well. But you know what, bro? Fuck them. For one, this is my life. Eat a dick. That's a first and foremost. But really and truly, second thing, second, man, they're not hurting because of this. It's like, it's so crazy because they literally said, like, a lot of things. So violating policy of that job is basically anything that they say that they don't want you to do. Even if something like being late, even if there's a point system, the point system doesn't work for me anymore. So for the next year, I can't even be 1 minute late. If my shift starts at 2 and I show up at 2:01, I am eligible for being fired. I don't have points anymore. So 3-point write up doesn't matter. It's just there is no write ups. There is no more write ups. Usually, if you get a one write up for any one thing, then you're good. It's just a write up. It's going to be on your record. But if I get a write up for anything, I'm not getting wrote up. I'm getting fired. So the first thing is I can't even be late. I can't get in any kind of altercation, which is you can't get in altercations anyway. But usually you'll get suspended if you are in an altercation. Because what happened with my friend is that he got a group 3 and he already had a group 3. So if you get 2 group 3s in 1 year, you're fired. So if you get suspended 2 times in 1 year, you're fired for a similar thing. And then on top of that, if you are, what is it? Not a group 3, but if you say the N word, bro, that's instant termination. You cannot say that. You cannot say that word. That's just period. No facts, like just straight facts. So anyways, I can't do anything wrong. Like, if I have a disagreement with someone and it starts to get a little bit too loud and the person feels like that I was, being confrontational with them and they actually report that, that's it for me. I don't have my job anymore. So it's not the same. It's not the same. Like, I genuinely don't have the same job. I am genuinely a second class citizen. Like, I'm basically the same as a temp worker who gets paid more than a temp worker. Because we have a lot of temp workers at our job. Like, a lot of temp workers. In order to get the work done, when they end up hiring a lot of temp workers, and that is pretty much, if they do anything wrong, you could just get taken off the schedule, and that's that. But for anyone like me, like the person who, or at least who I used to be anyway, who has like actual rights and is in the union and stuff, and you pay your dues and all that, then you are eligible to get fired. My fault, not fired. You're eligible to, you get fair treatment and stuff like that. No discrimination. But anyways, yeah, I just lost a lot of my rights, man. I lost like every right. Like, I cannot. Now the thing is, technically, there could be grace, but it's all dependent on my supervisor. It's just depending on if they feel like being nice or not. And I will say my supervisor is a good supervisor for the most part, because he's a by the book person, but that's not an issue for me. I don't mind a by the book person as long as, I'm not getting screwed over in the end. But a lot of the time, I do actually get screwed over in the end, unfortunately. And that's because other people with more seniority always have something to say, but they don't do any work. And that's the biggest issue I have. But sometimes these supervisors just don't have enough balls to really tell these people who don't do any work, who have too much seniority or more seniority, not too much. It's just they let their seniority get to their head, and they allow that. They just allow these people to do whatever, bro. So with that being said, that's my issue. But my supervisor is a good supervisor, bro. He's not the bad issue, he's not an issue. Anyways, it's still up to my supervisor whether or not I get fired for any small minor infraction or a large one. Now, a large one obviously is not up to him anymore. If it's like an altercation, it's not up to him, it's up to the other people. And if I was ever in one, then that's it for me. But that's the reason I'm even looking for another job in the first place. I sit here and, in my previous videos, I said it was because I actually did mention the job, but this is like the story behind it. So the other job I'm looking at has like a 3-day on, 4-day off, and then a 4-day on, 3-day off policy where they interchange your week schedules, and you get 3 days off one week and 4 days off the next, and that's really great. And they also pay up a lot. They pay like 20, so they pay 21 something starting, but if you work in a different department, you can get up to 24 and even up to 25. So that's really nice. And they want to hire me. But the thing is, they have toxic chemicals in the warehouse, and it's also an explosive warehouse. They mess with these giant, those things that pass by when the trains pass by, like those giant cylinder tube things that hold different stuff like gas or whatever. Yeah, it's stuff like that. And it's just also toxic chemicals, which is why they pay so much for a starting wage. So I want to test it out and try it out and see if I enjoy it enough to stay there. And the main reason is literally because I basically lost all my rights for the next year. So within this one whole year, minus maybe 2 weeks, that's it. 1 whole year, if I do anything wrong, bro, I'm fired. And there are no questions asked. And there's not a supervisor trying to protect me, like, and there's people who actually intentionally fire people at my job. There are people who literally go out of their way to lie about others just because they want their position, because a forklift job is a seniority job. It's not just apply and get it because you're the right fit. It's if you've been here longer than others, then that's the easiest step up. And a lot of forks have been getting fired, dude. When I say that, I mean like almost all of our forks that haven't been with the company for the past 5 years or more have been fired. The only, like, literally people who've been with the company for 2 years or less have been fired. And I'm like the one and only who has come back. The one and only. Like, people, it's funny because one of my friends at work literally said, my boy beat the RICO charge. And I'm like, bro, I don't even know what the RICO charge is, but it sounds serious. And he's like, yeah, you can beat the RICO charge. And I'm over here laughing and stuff. I'm like, man, I didn't really beat shit, bro. Because I'm in shit right now. Like, I'm in debt. My savings are gone. Like, they took so much money from me, bro. Because just not being there at work for 6+ weeks, that's a lot of money for me. I could have made so much money if I did overtime. And even without overtime, it's better to have a check than to not. The only time I'm grateful for not being at work was the 2 weeks that I was at my family's place to figure out what, my situation over there. Because, we got to, get my dad a place to rest and stuff like that. So I'm grateful to have that time off. And that was 2 weeks. But the other month, dude, oh man, I had 2 weeks vacation. You know what I mean? So ultimately, I really could have did anything. I could have took a leave of absence. That's a completely justified cause to take a leave of absence. So, like, my father didn't have to pass for me to get time off of work. You know what I mean? Like, or I didn't need to get fired to have that time off. I'm basically saying, like, I got fired and I got back. And the reason the reason I did get back was not just because the HR felt like it, but because my union reps hounded the fuck out of HR and hounded the fuck out of the building boss until they did what needed to be done. Because there are people at work, like I said, that steal time on a regular basis and there's no work getting done, bro. There are people who do that, and then I get fucked up because it's on paper. And it's just, excuse me, it's just so silly to me. I mean, if you're gonna fire people, at least fire the people who are bullshitting. Like, what's the whole deal with the whole, oh man, this guy's a great worker, we gotta get rid of him. And that's how I feel. But like I said, I set myself up in multiple ways, whether it was personal or actual practical. I pretty much fired myself, and I'm not going to deny that. Like I said, it was an accident, and that's the only thing I will fight tooth and nail to actually be understood and heard about, because it was an accident. I would not ever, I don't steal. Like I said, I did it at 15, and uh, and that's not even like the same type of stealing, but it doesn't matter. Like, stealing is not my forte. It's not my thing. It's not what I do. I don't do that. And like I said, to have supporting evidence, I had 2 weeks of vacation paid, and then I have 4 PTO days. What am I stealing for? The risk outweighs the reward literally times, I guess, 16. That's 16 days. That's 16 days. That the risk of 1 day to 16 days, and then it didn't become 16 days. It became whatever 7 times 6 is. That's 42 days. So 1 free day for 42 days off. Is that worth anything? No, of course not. So the only thing I'll fight tooth and nail on is that I did not steal. That's, I mean, that not that I didn't steal, but that I didn't do it on purpose. That's the only thing, bro. So yeah, that's my story time. But I will also add this last part, is that I do believe the other reason that I got hired back is because they really were hurting with me not being there. Like, when I say that I work 2 to 3 people's job on a regular basis, I am not joking about that. I am not joking about that, bro. These people don't do their job, and then they don't get in trouble. But here I am. Anyways, here I am doing their job. Once I left, they were flustered. They were so flustered. Like, they changed the whole system just because I wasn't there. They got another forklift operator, but they still had to change the whole system simply because I wasn't there doing 2 people's work. They needed me, bro. And I even put that, I forgot to add that. I did put that in my note to this, whatever, HR people and all that. I was like, by firing me, you're going to actually slow down operations of the plant, because you guys need me. I do 2 people's job or more, and anyone can vouch for me. And that's it. So with that being said, bro, I appreciate y'all listening. I got my job back, but it just isn't the same. It doesn't feel the same. I might stay there because it's literally free. Like, I ride my bike there, and I don't do anything wrong anyway, so there's no reason for me to be in trouble. But the whole thing about people actually trying to make trouble for you to take your job is a real legit thing that happens. And several people have been fired from 2 snakes in the grass at this job that are still working there to this very day. I'm just not on their radar because I don't know. I'm just not on their radar because I keep to myself, probably. That's probably why. Like, I talk to a lot of people on first shift, but once second shift comes in, that's when the other people that get people fired come in, and I try to keep away. I just help them whenever they ask for help, and then just mind my business. And that's the best way to do it a lot of times. But the simple fact that I have to do that kind of stuff, avoid snakes and just, watch out for eggshells and stuff like that, versus the other job that's being offered to me, it is going to cost me money to get there because it's 20 minutes away, and it does pay 25, so it's pretty nice, but it's still far away. The Uber is Uber, but having all that time off is great. But then once again, toxic warehouse, like, not mentally toxic, but physically toxic. And I'm thinking of maybe taking a month off from this place and actually taking a leave of absence, maybe a mental health thing or something like that, and then go into the other place and see if I do enjoy my work there enough to actually go for it, to stay there, and if it makes enough sense. Because having 4 days off and 3 days off every single week sounds incredible, but in reality, I'll probably make it to where it's like 3 days off on maximum, because I still need a little bit of overtime in my life, and maybe even 2 days off sometimes just to get 60 hours, But regardless of that, the warehouse is toxic, but the work is easy. And then the people are so nice, bro. I only met them 1 day, but dude, these people are so willing to teach you how to do things. They want you to succeed, and they want you to retire there. They don't want people to come and go. And they have a lot of spots available. And I'm actually looking forward to going just to figure out how these people operate and how they work. And I would be honored, honestly, at this point, because these people seem like genuine family people, and they actually care about the people that they're around. They don't try to make up rumors. They don't try to do this and that and hurt you and, you know, say just all kinds of dumb stuff. You know, the toxicity in my current job is ridiculous. But the fact that I can handle that. But the fact that I'm effectively a second-class citizen with no rights makes me literally feel like I have to go. So with that being said, guys, I really appreciate you guys showing up, being here. It's been a very long video, my longest video by far. But I really hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening again. And that's just been a story time, and that's my video for today, man. I look forward to the next one, man. I just felt like I had to get that out there because it's been, I keep on mentioning it, but I never speak on it like I should. And I knew it was going to be a long one, so that's why we're here. That's why we're here for an hour. So thank you guys, man. Have a great day, guys. For real. See you. This has been Yep A Lot Gaming, and I'm signing out.